Is Sony about to reveal its biggest surprise yet? Is Konami finally teasing a Metal Gear Solid remake? Sony just bought a new studio, and are they copying Microsoft and Nintendo? We're gonna find out, and I said we're because Ray is here from Xbox Ready. How's it going?
Yeah, we're back in the studio, baby. The dynamic duo. Excited to be discussing games with someone who actually cares, who actually gives a shit. And I don't have to like bother my wife. So what do we have to talk about today?
First up, we're going to talk about my favorite game franchise of all time, Metal Gear Solid. So recently in a video, I called Metal Gear Solid 2 Guns of the Patriots, and that is not what the game is called. It is called Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. I apologize, everyone. I promise I'm a true Metal Gear Solid fan. But recently, a lot of the Metal Gear Solid games had to be delisted from various different services because during many of Hideo Kojima's massive flashback scenes that are monologue driven, there's a lot of historical archive footage of like real US buildings, like the Capitol building and stuff like that. I guess Konami lost the rights to that historical archive footage, so they just delisted a ton of the Metal Gear Solid games. But for Metal Gear Solid's 35th anniversary, they've announced that all of these games are coming back on all of these different platforms.
Wow. That's crazy how a whole game could be out of commission, not playable because of just little tiny scenes and licensing issues and legal things like that.
It shows how little these publishers actually care about their games. What this reminds me of is that there's Mass Effect 1 DLC that they couldn't even add to the Legendary Collection because they lost the code. They're like, yeah, we don't have it anymore, sorry. Like, how do you let that happen? It's like Konami letting this stuff happen.
They're
it's
like,
crazy.
well, when we moved offices, we just kind of forgot.
I know eFootball or Pro Evolution Soccer used to be called is like their biggest franchise over at Konami, but Metal Gear's got to be the second biggest, I would say.
eFootball?
Yeah.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, like their football games, but like even though they're not as big as FIFA, they're like very popular.
Okay, so what were the games that were delisted? It was the second HD port?
I got the list here. It's like seriously a lot of games. So the games in question, I have them here, are the two HD versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. So if you already owned them before they were delisted, you're fine. You probably didn't even notice they went away. But they are pretty good upscales of both of those games. Like I played 2 and 3 on the Vita, and it was a really good experience. 3 was also ported to the 3DS. Metal Gear Solid 2 was also ported to PC on GOG. So both of those were delisted and they're coming back. The PS Vita versions of both of those games that I just mentioned are also coming back. I'm surprised that Konami's putting in the work there on that one. I mean, even the 3DS version coming back is a little crazy, I think, with that eShop closing down soon. But yeah, if you want to grab any of these Metal Gear Solid games or pretty much any other PlayStation game and accessory, I have a bunch of them linked down in the description below, including the new InZone hardware. It would be awesome if you use those links to pick up anything you need for your PlayStation 5, maybe even a new SSD, and then I can keep buying games I'll never play. And finally, the NVIDIA Shield is getting its versions of these games back as well. There's a couple in there that I didn't talk about, but yeah, the long story short is Konami is putting in the work to revive Metal Gear Solid, and there's been rumors floating around that Bluepoint is working on a remake of the original Metal Gear Solid for PSVR 2. It was supposedly going to be like Resident Evil 7, where you can play the entire game as a normal game, but then if you play it in VR, you can interact with the world and like put the cardboard box on your head. You can use the night vision goggles. You can do the sniper wolf fight. It's awesome.
They're doing this as part of the Metal Gear 30th anniversary. Is that correct?
Yes. What I would really like to see out of this 30th anniversary is a vinyl of all of the soundtracks, because I will buy all of them. Metal Gear Solid, like Final Fantasy VII, has music that like transcends gaming and feels extremely cinematic, and it's just so good. There was like a Metal Gear live concert they did, I think around the 20th anniversary, that I used to watch on YouTube all the time. But all the Metal Gear Solid games, whether it's like Peace Walker, the medley of that game's themes is probably my favorite of the entire series. Metal Gear Solid 2's theme is amazing. Metal Gear Solid 3 has this like 70s spy espionage music. It's so good. You need to do soundtracks for the 35th anniversary.
Have we heard from Kojima at all?
Something's happening there, because Kojima could not mention Metal Gear Solid for the longest time, but I've recently seen him retweeting like fan art and stuff. The only thing I could think of here is that Sony is the one facilitating this remake of the first game, right? They've got Bluepoint working on it.
Yeah.
They've got to get Kojima involved somehow. They have a great relationship with Koji Pro.
He's going to be like, have his own studio that's exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah, I would love to see PlayStation be the middleman here, where they get the IP from Konami and then just give them to Kojima, where they're like, hey, you want to revive Silent Hills? They go over to Konami and they're like, knock on the door. We're here to buy the rights for a lot of money for Silent Hill. And then they go walk back to Sony across the street. I'm assuming that all of these companies are on the same block. And then they walk up to the 11th floor and they're like, hello, Mr. Kojima. Here are the rights to Silent Hill back. That's what I want to happen. Yeah. What I feel like is happening is they were like, we got to get these games back on the PlayStation Store. And I'm sure people are going to want to buy them because it's like an anniversary. Because the 35th anniversary, doesn't that seem like kind of a weird...
I don't know. 35 is, I think, an impressive number.
Yeah,
definitely
in
more
general?
than 25.
So next up, we talked about in the video we just recorded for Xbox Ready about Xbox potentially buying Ubisoft at Gamescom, and Sony has been doing a little bit of buying on their own. So they, a little while ago, they announced that they were trying to buy the studio Haven that Jade Raymond started up, and now it looks like that sale is going to go through and that they've officially purchased the studio. Do you know anything about Jade Raymond?
Yeah, well, as an Assassin's Creed fan, I am a fan of her work. I say Assassin's Creed fan, you know, back in the day I was. I mentioned this on my channel that I kind of fell off the franchise after Unity, and I feel like that was really the start of people realizing, wow, these studios are putting out games that are unfinished. Like,
yeah, Unity was like totally unfinished. And that was a game I was super excited for because I got really into Assassin's Creed leading up to 3.
But yeah, so she, from my understanding, she was one of the creative forces behind Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, so she hasn't done a lot of like great stuff since Assassin's Creed. And she's kind of like bounced around to like different studios. But it seems like this is the one that's going to stick. And it seems like Sony's really excited about what they're working on because they've got Mark Cerny joining forces with her to work with like cloud tech.
Yeah, one of the big stories that I feel like a lot of people point to when it comes to Xbox versus PlayStation is that, oh, Xbox is trying to copy PlayStation, and they totally are when it comes to buying these studios and trying to beef up their first titles. They're trying to copy, but flying more under the radar is...
They need to copy PlayStation. They need to make some games.
Whoa, brother, we got Grounded coming out in September, which has already been out for like...
I'm actually excited for that.
Yeah, but yeah, no hard feelings, because it's true. They need to beef up their first-party titles, especially because there's not so many coming out in 2022. But flying more under the radar is like we're seeing PlayStation emulate some of these things that we're seeing on Xbox. You know, it started with the PlayStation Plus Essential, Premium, Extra, the kind of PlayStation spin on Game Pass, and now we're starting to see some more like interest in cloud and game streaming and kind of these live service games, where previously they were only all about their single player games, right? Their single player action adventure situations.
Yeah, I wish they would stick with that because it seems like this cloud stuff is just them trying to do like they're like, we have this cloud. Like, what do we do with it? It's literally like, we want to make it so all these games live in the cloud and we want to justify it by making games that need it. And it's like, I don't know about that because we're seeing these situations right now like The Matrix Awakens and these movies that you bought on the PlayStation Store and Assassin's Creed Liberation, where these companies are going in and just taking away your digital license. So they're trying to remove that middleman by just having these games live in the cloud so you never own anything.
I'm surprised reading through this article and this press release saying that the next IP that Haven is working on is geared towards being a live service experience.
It's one of the 10 for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of, we're expecting this when they acquired Bungie, so it's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, hopefully they get some help from Bungie because, I don't know, like as far as live services go, Bungie's the only one that really seems to be able to get it right, which is crazy. Because like, I don't know, like Avengers and Division, they like come out. They're like, yeah, we have not looked at Destiny at all. We're coming up with our own ideas here. And then they faceplant hard because like, you should look at what Destiny is doing. That should be your base that you build off of.
Yeah, Destiny, I know a lot of people like to hate on it, but say what you want. People are still playing that game and they're still adding content, and people are like, yeah, this game is still fun for the people who play it. And like, you can't say that about Halo Infinite, man. Like,
yeah, Destiny had a big transition with Beyond Light where they switched to a new engine, because I guess before it was really hard for them to update Destiny and add new content, but with Beyond Light they switched to a new engine, and that's why you're seeing stuff get taken out and added back in. I know Fortnite started the battle pass, but Destiny kind of adopted it at one point. But with Beyond Light, the season model that they have is amazing, where the big expansion event will happen, and then each season will have its own micro story, but those micro stories build up to the next expansion. The Witch Queen is the best Destiny expansion, but the campaign in it, it's like easily top 3 Bungie campaigns ever. Like, you have a great villain that's introduced in the campaign, you defeat them within the campaign, the characters in the story are awesome and are actually talking to you via cutscene. I'm glad that they have Bungie on board to kind of teach them how to do this stuff. I think Gran Turismo 7 could learn a few lessons from Bungie as well on how to not nickel and dime people and turn your game into a slot machine.
Yeah, they can't seem to figure out like the online experiences. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what Haven puts out, whatever this new IP is.
So yeah, it looks like with this live service future that we've got going on at Sony, hopefully they can keep it separate from their main games and kind of experiment and get help from Bungie, do their live service thing, but not at the expense of the mainstay game. All right, so next up here, we actually have some positive news for people who are trying to get a PlayStation 5, because it looks like it's actually getting a lot easier by the end of this year. So the company that actually like assembles PS5s, I guess it's called Foxconn, and they had a presentation recently when they said 3 things. First of all, PS5 manufacturing allocation is huge for October, November, and December. Select third-party devs have been asked about assets, and that usually happens in preparation for a state of play or showcase. And then third, when Sony wants to talk, it's usually when they have hardware available to sell. So basically people are like coming up with this perfect storm thing. The showcase makes a lot of sense. We've talked about this a few times. Around August or September, Sony loves to do these showcases, which are different from state of plays because it's like the Xbox E3 event. And that's good, because if they're doing a showcase, that means they want to get people excited to buy consoles. So if they're doing a showcase and Foxconn is ramping up their production of the PlayStation 5 for November, December, October. I did that in the reverse order, I'm sorry. That means we're probably going to have more PS5s and a showcase by the end of the year, which is sweet.
They better. Because if it's anything like the last 2 holiday seasons, people are going to be rioting in the streets and beating each other up for the chance to frickin' get a PS5. But yeah, either way, this is great news. It's always better than hearing the opposite, which they will come out and say like, oh, Microsoft comes out and says that shortages are going to continue, or like, this
I
is...
don't know why they even say stuff like that. It's like crazy. It's like, what? Just keep your mouth shut and then no one will be upset. It's nuts. Like Sony does. Sony never says any of this stuff. We have to like piece it together through like, oh, we got the pinboard, you know? Sony's been asking developers to get their assets ready, which means a trailer. And also Foxconn said they're ramping up production, while also Sony is talking about doing another showcase at the end of the year. And that must mean that we are getting more PlayStations. Like, that's how we have to piece it together with PlayStation. And Xbox is like, yeah, we're out of fucking controllers. You're not going to be able to get any of them. And also expect more shortages. Thank you. Goodbye.
Get ready, because these people are going to hear it and they're going to be like, oh, maybe now's the time to buy a PS5. And then you're going to have all the people who have been trying to get a PS5 for the past few months, a year, also trying to get in on this surge of consoles of the product.
But yeah, it's good regardless that it seems like they're ramping up production. There were a lot of rumors coming out that Sony might be doing the Nintendo Wii thing and just holding them back. Like, they've got a bunch of PS5s and they're trying to create false scarcity. But it seems like the demand is actually so high that they don't need to do that.
I heard that Walmart was doing something like that at one point. They like had PS5s in stock, but they weren't fulfilling.
That was so weird because
orders.
that guy's TikTok account got like deleted after he shared that video of the huge Walmart warehouse. It was like a whole conspiracy theory thing. They were holding them back in their huge warehouse so that they could give people who had Walmart Plus, their delivery service, opportunities to buy it. And I guess Amazon was doing something similar with Prime, and Best Buy had their thing Total Tech, where you could sign up for it and then get the PS5. And Rich and I figured out a way to game it so you could like cancel your subscription after you get the PS5, and then literally the next day they were like, yeah, we updated the verbiage here, you can't actually do that.
But that's how you know just how many people want this thing. It's like they're willing to do whatever it takes. It's good for, I guess, Sony, because they're like, damn, we can't keep up with the people that want these things.
And for the last story today, we have another instance in which Sony is copying Microsoft. And this one's kind of weird because it's like a mixture of the Game Pass rewards that you get for like logging into the app and playing a Game Pass game, and also Microsoft rewards, which was an evolution of Bing points. So Sony has announced this thing called PlayStation Stars, which like you can earn specific trophies or log into your PlayStation 5 times in a week, like 5 days in a row, or like check into a game that's on PlayStation Plus Extra Premium, and then earn these points. And they say you can redeem them for PlayStation Wallet credit, select stuff in the PlayStation Direct store, and maybe even some digital goodies, which kind of sounds like NFTs, and I'm just going to ignore that because I don't even want to think about it.
I mean, yeah, I think it's a good idea if they can incorporate it in a way that maintains engagement on their games and their services and stuff. And it's a great way for consumers to maybe get a little bit of value back that they put in terms of their time and money. You know, I really love the coin system that they have on Nintendo. I mean, I don't love it, but, you know, when I do have enough coins and I'm like, oh, crap, I can buy this $20 game with the coins that I have spent. And
it used to be way
cool.
better back in the 3DS days. Like, you would collect these platinum points and you'd be able to get some really cool stuff. Like, if you had enough of them. Like, they did a Luigi's Mansion statue that was Luigi with his vacuum, and it was like a few inches tall.
What? Like physical?
Yeah, they would do like physical stuff like that. Like, yeah, you would get this Luigi's Mansion thing. But you got to buy a lot of games to get those points back. So it's like, are you really earning? Is it like really that cool? I like how Microsoft does it, where if you like,
yeah, it's getting to the point with all of these services, whether it be the PlayStation One, Nintendo One, Microsoft Rewards, is that what we're finding on the Microsoft side is that they're slowly and kind of sneakily raising the redemption requirements for the points that you need for a lot of these better rewards that people want. You know, 3 months of Game Pass,
right.
You know, a couple months of Xbox Live Gold and things like that. And they also have crazy rewards as well that are not game related. Like, you can get a free Domino's pizza or like something like that. They have like a bunch of stuff.
What I would prefer they do is go back to the drawing board on PlayStation Plus and look at how they ran it last generation, where you would get discounts on games for being subscribed to PlayStation Plus. So when they would do their sales, you could get, like, I got Mad Max for like $8 a couple months after it came out because I was subscribed to PlayStation Plus. This NFT stuff is dumb. Don't interact with it. Don't make it worse for everyone else. This is like when they added horse armor to Skyrim. That was the beginning of the end with microtransactions.
Oh yeah, that Oblivion.
Oh no, Oblivion. They added it to Oblivion. Horse armor in Oblivion is the beginning of microtransactions, and that has reached its maturity point where now you have to pay a subscription fee to get heated seats in your BMW.
Hey, but that horse armor, it was nice.
Blame Ray for microtransactions
Big brain
and
move.
NFTs.